Hello there. Welcome to the workbench. You may remember the workbench from the video I did in November, which I think was my only video from November, modifying a X-Shock Reflex 6, where I actually made it slightly worse by giving it a worse spring. But anyway, I've upgraded the setup. Last time I had a super janky thing where I was holding it with like a drum stand. I was holding my phone up and the audio was terrible.
He's finished. Ooh, it's sad to look at him. But yeah, he doesn't prime anymore. So we put him back there.
And all of that good stuff. But now I brought the mic. I brought the mic here, so you guys can actually hear me in like proper quality. So today we're gonna be doing something cool, and I've posted something similar to this on my Instagram. I will show the picture, and it's a spliced cable. I have an example of one that I made a couple weeks ago over here. This is a USB-A to USB-A cable. Here, I'll bring it close to the camera so you can see. And this is used because there's a... I made this because there's a... We got some Android TV boxes, which are like turn any TV into a smart TV. And to flash the BIOS and to potentially put copies of Linux on it, you need one of these cables. Now, I've been able to put a version of Linux that lets you play games on mine without the need for this. But it was still a cool project, and it introduced me to cable splicing. So I got some tools over here, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be splicing an audio cable. We're going to be splicing together a 1/4-inch cable, which is this has these big headphone jacks on them, and a 3.5mm cable, or the standard headphone jack cable. So we're gonna put these two together. They've already been clipped with these wire clippers because these were both broken cables. So the tools that you'll need for this is a wire stripper. This is one of the most useful tools that you could ever use for wire splicing. So what you do is you slip the piece of the wire through here, right? And you pinch down, and then you quickly close it. And there you go. A piece of the rubber shielding has come off of the wire. One thing to note, the big thing is called the cable. The little things inside of the cable are called wires. There's 3 wires inside of a standard 3.5mm cable. Here, I'll move this back for better contrast. There is I'm not sure if you can see, there's a white wire, right? There's a red wire, and there's a black wire. And so what these 3 wires represent, one of them carries the left audio, one of them carries the right audio, and I think it's the white one carries left audio, red one carries right audio, and then this one, the black one, is a common ground for both cables. I'm not sure exactly what that does. I guess it regulates what happens, or it allows the sound to be transmitted. I'm not sure exactly how these cables work. I just know that's what it represents. Yo, sorry. Post-production Ryan here. I just came to tell you that I am using a kind of 3.5mm cables. There are different kinds. The one that I'm using is called TRS, which stands for tip ring sleeve, and that's because it has 2 black rings. The first one represents the tip, second one represents ring, and then the metal shaft after the second one is the sleeve. There is another type of 3.5mm cable called TRRS, which is tip ring sleeve, and they have 3 black rings around them. TRRS cables are used to transfer sound through a microphone as well as audio, so those are headset cables. Instead of having 3 wires inside one cable, like the standard TRS that I'm using, TRRS cables have 4 wires inside of them. So if you try to splice them, you might not get mic input, so just be careful. So to recap, white is the left audio, red is the white audio, and black is the common ground. So you might not have those specific colors in your cable. There can be different variations. I've heard that red can be green or blue. White is pretty much always white. So yeah, we've got our red, black, and white wires in our standard 3.5mm cable. Now the 1/4" cable, we'll try to strip it at just about the same length. Carefully pull this off. And whoa, what do you see? What do you see there? What do you know? This also has a red wire, a white wire, and a black wire. So both these cables have the same kinds of wires inside of them, which means the splicing is going to be really easy. You just match up each colored wire with its corresponding wire on the other cable, and you're pretty much done. But how do we get the wires connected together? Well, we're going to use the wire stripper again to strip each individual wire. And you want to be not super slow, like you don't want to be going like this. But you don't want to be going, that's going to cut the wire. And this, that's going to slowly pull the wire apart. So you want to go like, just normal pace. Don't be too slow, don't be too fast. This little white wire now has all of its wires exposed. That white coating, that's just the shield for these tiny exposed wires. So just think of that. There are 4 or more tiny little strings of metal inside this already very thin white wire inside of a black cable. That's kind of crazy. Alright, so now we've got all the exposed wires. We've got all of the tiny little exposed wires with this cable. Next up, let's do this. Let's do this 1/4" cable. These ones have a little string. I'm not sure why they have it, so just carefully, it's a little white string. Very carefully just cut it off. Okay. So, what I'm going to do now is I've zoomed in just a little bit in OBS, and I'm going to show you how I splice the wires together. So you can see I've stripped them, and you've got your exposed metal wire on all of these little smaller wires. It's very convoluted and complicated, but in the end, things should work, and then I'll test it out with the drums. So, what you're going to do, first let's start off with black. It doesn't matter what order you do it in, just as long as you do it right. So you're gonna take each colored wire, and you're going to match it with its corresponding wire on the other cable. Then you're going to twist together the metal bits on each part of those cables. You want to make sure that you tie it nice and tight so that each wire is touching the other wire. There's no way to check to be sure, but just twist them nice and tightly. Then you should be good. So, we've got black, which should, the connection should look something like this, if you can see it. Right? You should have just one joined wire in the middle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one piece of our electrical tape, not one piece, and then we are going to just carefully seal this connection. So yeah, make sure some of the tape is covering the rubber part of the wire, and then make sure the rest is going on the middle, because you don't want crossing signals from two pieces of the metal wire touching each other. All right, so we finished black. Let's do red now. Same thing we did with the black. You want to take each piece of the red wire, right? And you want to twist it together. Same way as the black wire, just between your fingers, nice and tight, so that all of the metal pieces are touching each other. So there, now you have two connections. So yeah, the red wires are connected like this, as you can see. You want it to be joined up like that. You get a nice close-up shot of it now. Finally, we're going, oh, sorry, the electrical tape, of course. Make sure some of the tape is touching the rubber part of the wire. The other part of the tape is touching the metal. Carefully twist the tape. Carefully put the tape around it. Should look like that. So now we've got our red and our black wires connected. Finally, this one might be the easiest to show because they show up good on camera. The white wires. Alright, the left audio. So you see we got the two metal parts. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Twist the two metal parts together. Nice and tight so that all wires are touching each other. Some of it on the rubber part of the wire, the rest around the metal, and there we go. Now all three of our wires are spliced together. Now this connection here, just of the two wires, of the two cables being held together with three pieces of electrical tape that aren't very sturdy or sticky, this can break easily if you just pull it. So what we need to do is we need to reinforce this connection. So to reinforce the connection, you want to line the two cables that you spliced up, and you want to bend one of them over. Right? It doesn't have to be that long around. In fact, you might want it to be shorter. And so it should look like this, right? Or like a triangle sort of shape of wires. Then what you want to do is get your electrical tape, right? And just stick all three portions together. Now, when you pull, it's nice and sturdy. So these connections over here are still fragile, but that's not where most of the pressure is going to be put on. It's mostly going to be put on like tugging, so now it's put over here instead of over here. So now that we've finished splicing, I'll hook it up to the drum set and the amp, and then I'll just put the mic towards there, and then if you hear sounds coming from the drums, that means it's working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the cable, hook it up to the drum set, and then hopefully we get sound from the amp, and it'll work, and it'll be really cool and awesome. Right? Plug the 1/4 inch portion into the amp, plug this section into the drums, turn on the amp, turn on the drums. You hear that? Well, I'll turn up the gain a little bit. I hope the mic can pick that up. It works. The cable works. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, of course. Have to be inclusive. And I will see you on the next video.